I'm skilled at both fighting and drinking. To win the love of my gangster boyfriend, I pretended to be a delicate, innocent flower by his side for 4 years. Yet I could never warm his heart. In the end, I faked my death to escape. 2 years later, just after getting off the plane, my best friend dragged me to a bar to break the fast. The moment I sat down, she clapped her hands and pointed at me, declaring, "Whoever can win her over gets 5 million from me." Then she sidled up to Kinran, ready to enjoy the show. Hearing this, the male models instantly lit up with joy. They'd never seen you so generous before. They swarmed around me, some offering drinks, some desperately making small talk, and others straight up stripping off their shirts to show off their toned pecs and abs, hovering around to please me. It was downright annoying. I was already exhausted from the flight, and now I had to deal with them. Kinran and Wang Miley sat across from me, laughing till tears streamed down their faces. Just then, 10 handsome men emerged from the VIP booth on the second floor. Today was a gathering of the younger Lans. The private room was stuffy, so they stepped out for some air, leaning against the railing with drinks in hand. The eldest Lan heir, Lan Huayu, impeccably dressed in a suit, asked coolly, "Still leaving?" The others also turned to look at the youngest brother, clearly concerned about his answer. Aster Lan, in white casual wear, took a sip of his wine. The matter of slowly opening the 3 kingdoms hasn't been dealt with yet. When his 9 older brothers heard this, they all felt quite upset. But it's not good to block either. At this moment, everyone's attention was drawn to the 10 male models on the first floor. Every single person in the bar was staring at me. The male models surrounded me, shirtless, and started dancing. Kinran and Wang Miley, who were flirting and bold, couldn't stop laughing, especially when they saw my face growing darker. They laughed even harder. Wang Miley leaned close to Kinran's ear and asked, "So, what do you think? Didn't waste my money, right?" Kinran pushed her away with her hand. Annoyed, she tilted her chin up. "Only if you get into her bed will it count as not wasting money." Wang Miley pretended not to hear, still full of enthusiasm. "Want me to pick a few for you to play with?" Kinran took a sip of her drink, turned her head and gave her a sidelong glance. "7th sister-in-law, don't forget I'm your eldest sister-in-law." That really stirred up a hornet's nest. Wang Miley scratched her head irritably. Half a year ago, the Lan family's young masters sought marriage alliances. Their first choices were the Wang and Qin families. At the time, I was abroad holding a painting exhibition, so I dodged the bullet. Those two weren't so lucky. Kinran was betrothed to Lan Huayu. Wang Miley got his younger brother, River Lan. The weddings have to happen by next year at the latest. Over these past 6 months, neither of them dared to mess around or joke in public. The Lan family in Country Z is a top-tier dynasty. Who would dare to cuckold them? That's just asking for death. Today, Wang Miley's rebellious streak flared up. She grabbed a bottle of imported liquor and downed it all, then started cursing and grumbling. "Damn it, today this young lady is gonna go off the rails." With that, she got up and strutted off in her heels to pick male models from the back. I spotted her leaving through a row of abs and control, and yelled at Kinran, asking where she was off to now. Kinran, slightly tipsy from drinking, "She's gone to find a man." I wanted to say something else, but a male model's abs blocked my view. Even the best temper would snap at this point. Seeing me angry, the male models quickly stopped what they were doing, standing awkwardly, not daring to move. I pulled out a black card from my bag. After swiping this, "Don't come near me again." Wang Miley, who had just returned, snatched the card away, sat down to the side, and scolded me for trying to pay them off, refusing to let them leave. "Keep dancing for us." Kinran glanced at Wang Miley beside him, jokingly asking where the person is. Wang Miley leaned back on the sofa, her face full of disdain. "The rest are just a bunch of misfits. You'd actually fancy them?" Kin Ran simply smiled and said nothing. Wang Miley grabbed the most lively male model, pinning him directly onto the sofa. She sat on his lap, her fingers tracing his 8-pack abs. But her eyes were fixed on Kin Ran. No, Kin Ran wore a faint smile, gazing at Wang Miley, and warned her, "I'd advise you not to play around. Know when to stop. Or if you're caught, you should know better than I do what the consequences will be." Wang Miley's expression darkened. She withdrew her hand, stood up, and pulled out a gold card from her bag. "Throw it to the male models. Stop swiping the card already. The male models aren't stupid either. They caught on to the trick, took the card and left." Right at that moment, Kin Ran's phone rang. Saw it was Lan Huayu calling, frowned slightly, hesitated but answered anyway. "Having fun, Fianki?" Hearing that, Kin Ran's heart skipped a beat. Recognized the familiar music in the background. Couldn't help but panic a little, but kept a straight face. Turned to look around. Didn't spot Lan Huayu anywhere. Suddenly looked up and saw the young masters of the Lan family, all standing by the second floor railing, looking down at me. Kin Ran also glanced up briefly. I noticed there was a strange man among them. He was quite handsome. He looked somewhat refined. His intuition told him this person wasn't as simple as he seemed. He must be the Lan family's tutor who grew up abroad. Kin Ran then turned her gaze to Lan Huayu, casually replying with a "not bad." After that, both of them held up their phones and stopped talking. Soon after, Lan Huayu put down his phone. Holding a wine glass, he looked at her. Kin Ran also picked up her glass. They toasted each other from a distance. Wang Miley naturally noticed this scene. Looking at the Playboy River Lan on the second floor, she really fucking wanted to curse. This was just too damn coincidental. Even though River Lan hadn't called her. But tomorrow, Wang Miley is definitely going to get an earful from her dad. Might even end up getting a brutal beating. The young masters of the Lan family are not known for their good temper. She went to find River Lan back then. Wanted to tell him she wasn't willing to go through with the arranged marriage, but ended up getting rejected by the young master himself. River Lan said once the engagement is set, there's no backing out. She can fool around if she wants. Just don't get caught. If he finds out, he'll make sure the Wang family suffers. I, sitting across from them, noticed their expressions were off. Quickly asked what was wrong. Did something happen? Wang Miley decided to throw caution to the wind. Laughing recklessly, she said, "We got caught by our fiancés. What do we do now?" Kin Ran couldn't help but laugh too, thinking to herself, Wang Miley really is all guts and no brains, only realizing the consequences after the fact. "I'm heading to the internet cafe. I've had quite a bit to drink too." Thinking back to the marriage proposal between her two uncles and the Lan family. "I've cooled down a bit. Who in all of Z country isn't afraid of the Lan family's power?" I noticed Kin Ran glancing upstairs earlier, so I turned to look as well. That one glance was enough to freeze me in place. Every hair on my body stood on end. I couldn't make out anyone else's appearance clearly. The only face I could see was Aster Lan's. Aster Lan on the second floor noticed me too. He froze for a solid 5 seconds. That refined, handsome face of his was full of malice. A cruel smile curled at the corners of his lips. His eyes locked onto me, unblinking, as if he might charge down and devour me the next second. Just then, the deafening music stopped. But the atmosphere grew eerily tense. Instead, neither Kin Ran and the others, nor the Lan family young masters upstairs, were fools after all. Of course, it's obvious that we know each other. I'm afraid our relationship isn't shallow at all. Before Wang Miley could even open her mouth to ask, I anxiously turned my head away, stood up, grabbed my designer bag, and rushed out in a hurry. I didn't even care if I bumped into people along the way. Just desperately ran forward. On the second floor, Aster Lan watched my retreating figure, down the drink in his hand in one go. then propped himself on the railing and leaped down from above. After landing steadily on the ground, he immediately gave chase. Kiran and Wang Miley were completely stunned, quickly grabbing their bags and running out after us. Outside the bar, I was absolutely panicking. How could I be seeing Aster Lan again? Oh God, Aster Lan. With the surname Lan, could he be that young master from the Lan family? I'm done for. My ex-boyfriend turned out to be the legendary youngest son of the Lan family, the one they dote on like crazy. I didn't have to think it through. I walked through 5 streets in a row, making sure I was far enough from the bar, still standing by the roadside trying to hail a taxi. I just returned to the country today. Haven't told my family yet. Naturally, no one came to pick me up. I couldn't get a cab after waiting forever, so I kept looking back from time to time, afraid that terrifying man would catch up. Luckily, an empty taxi finally stopped. I was about to get in, when someone lifted me from behind. The man's cologne was all too familiar. I struggled violently, slapping his back with both hands, yelling to let me go. This is Country Z. What you're doing is illegal. Aster Lan ignored me completely and kept walking. I refused to give up. I really didn't check the almanac before going out today. Ran into this damn jinx. Kept shouting, Aster Lan. If you don't let go, I'm calling the police. Aster Lan still ignored me. I really wanted to call the police, but he just snatched my bag. How could I even call? I was so pissed I could die. Aster Lan carried me to the nearest hotel. Of all places, it happened to be owned by the Lan family. Once in the room, he locked the door behind him, then threw me hard onto the bed. The impact left me dizzy. I sat up only to have a gun pressed to my head. Aster Lan ran his tongue over his cheek, smirking at me. Running? Don't even think about moving. He licked his lips. Seeing my silence, Aster Lan's eyes turned icy. With his left hand holding Thagan, he lightly nudged my head. Wait till I shoot. If you keep talking, it'll be too late. I forced myself to stay calm, but my voice still trembled a little. I didn't run because I just wanted to go home. Aster Lan let out an angry laugh at my answer. If you didn't run, you should know the consequences of lying to me. With that, he reached out with his other hand and grabbed my collar, lifting me up. At 163 centimeters, I was powerless against the 190 centimeters Aster Lan. Resistance was futile. His domineering presence overwhelmed me. Aster Lan's eyes were bloodshot. Staring at me, he demanded, "Why did you break up with me?" I remembered the letter I left a year ago. It had already made things clear. I couldn't stand Aster Lan's possessive dominance, or his inhuman cruelty in killing indiscriminately. Now, he actually dares to ask me again. I naturally have nothing to hide. Her delicate face was icy cold. Didn't you read the letter I left for you? I can't stand you killing people recklessly. You won't be satisfied until every person of the opposite sex around me is dead. Is that what you want? We broke up long ago. Let me go. With every word I spoke, Aster Lan's handsome face darkened further. He was so furious the hand holding his gun trembled. With a curse, Gu Enning snapped. Who the hell told you I agreed to break up? Are you scared? Daring to say the word break up to me? Believe it or not, I'll blow your head off right now. I believe you, how could I not? From the moment we first met, I watched him gun down 5 people in a row, seeing the woman before him, no longer saying things she doesn't want to hear. The anger in Aster Lan's heart subsided a little. He raised his hand and pushed me onto the bed. He brought the pistol to his lips, clenched it between his teeth. Then he stripped off his clothes, revealing his firm, muscular chest and 8-pack abs. The man who took off his clothes was impatient now, and not easy to deal with. How could I just let myself be captured? I panicked and jumped off the bed, dodged past him and ran for the door. My trembling hands fumbled with the lock. Then a bang exploded right by my ear. I almost went deaf from the blast. The hole in the door reminded me. This wasn't just my imagination. My legs gave out, and I collapsed to the floor. Aster Lan was insane. He really dares to open fire in the country. A tall, burly man approached from behind. He picked me up and carried me to the bed. He knelt beside my legs, gazing at my disheveled, broken state. He smirked and asked, "Still thinking of running? I could let you go. Gu Anning, you tell me, will your legs be faster? Or will my bullet be quicker?" As he spoke, Aster Lan pressed the pistol against my calf. I couldn't take this psychological torment any longer. No matter what, today, I couldn't afford to stay entangled with this lunatic in front of me. Otherwise, I'd never be free of him. Fine, let me die then. Steeling myself, I sat up, meeting Aster Lan's gaze without fear. Either kill me, or let me go. This is enough to drive any man crazy. Aster Lan's refined and handsome face twisted with murderous intent. His teeth ground together audibly. He raised his hand and gripped my throat, yet he hesitated to apply force. After pinning me down, he viciously forced out the words, "I'll fucking kill you right now." Late the next night. At this moment, Aster Lan sat bare-chested on the sofa, smoking a cigarette. He had intended to stop after one, but his peripheral gaze caught the woman on the bed. So he lit another and took a drag. As the smoke drifted in the air, his thoughts began to scatter. Aster Lan was the son born to the Lan family patriarch at the age of 60. It was no exaggeration to say he was dotted on like a treasure. The moment he was born, the Lan family's overseas foundations began to shift. The elders have all gone to Ongguo to handle matters. Only his 2 elder brothers and 7 cousins remained at home to look after him. After all, Aster Lan was 5 years younger than his 9th brother. He handled a gun at the age of 3. By 6, he was sent to Ongguo headquarters for training. At 8, he became a sniper who never missed his mark. Over the years, he only returned home during holidays. The rest of the time, he stayed abroad, dealing with the Mafia and terrorist organizations. After turning 14, Aster Lan took over Ongguo's influence. Coincidentally, at this moment, a young woman in a kipao came running in from the alley. She didn't look very old, but the figure hidden beneath her clothes was nothing to underestimate. Perfect, paired with that innocent yet alluring little face. So perfect, it made people want to hide her away. She ran in without looking around. Aster glanced around once, then hurried to the trash can, opened it, and jumped inside. Standing nearby, Aster Lan coldly watched the pale, delicate hand reaching out from inside. Only when the trash can lid closed did he finally look away. Then he took a deep drag from his cigarette. A few seconds later, 5 burly men from Country F came running over and scanned the area. Finding only Aster Lan alone, they awkwardly spoke in broken English, asking if he'd seen a girl in a kipao. Aster Lan leaned lazily against the wall, staring down at the blood-stained tip of his leather shoe. Ignoring them. One of the burly men couldn't stand his indifferent attitude. "Pick up the gun and you'll blow your brains out." But he was stopped by the remaining 4. They walked around the alley once, finally stopped in front of the trash can, and gave it a hard kick. All 5 of them showed delighted expressions. The most hot-tempered strongman among them opened the trash can. "Pulled me out." A burly man gave him a sinister look. "Can't wait to take me down right here. I'm really scared to death." Yet he couldn't break free from the large hand gripping his wrist. The burly men grabbed me and were about to leave. At this moment, I, who had just come of age, couldn't hold back my tears any longer. Despair, fear, and terror consumed me. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught the men glancing at me while smoking. I was crying and begging him like he had grabbed onto the last straw. "Please save me, I beg you. Please, I beg you." Aster Lan's eyes flickered with a hint of amusement as he looked at me. The voice was exceptional, imagent, and alluring. As beautiful as a cello. Beg me all you want, I won't do a losing deal. You tell me. What's in it, fam, if I save you? I'm skilled at both fighting and drinking. To win the love of her gangster boyfriend. For 4 years, she played the sweetened innocent little flower by his side. But I could never warm his heart. In the end, I faked me death to escape. 2 years later. Just got off the plane, and my bestie dragged me straight to the bar to let loose. Continuing from the previous episode. I was being dragged by the burly man. How could I not pick upon the hints in those words? But now I can't afford to hesitate. The violation by 1 man and the violation by 5 men. I can still tell what's what. Save me, and that's it, he shouted resolutely. Do whatever you want. Aster Land smiled after getting a satisfactory answer. Actually, I don't expect anything from him. He would save me too. The moment you first laid eyes on me. He just wants me. Aster Land had a cigarette butt dangling from his mouth. Tuck the belt behind your back. He drew the pistol he was holding. He raised his hand and instantly headshot burly guy who was grabbing his wrist. Bang went the gunshot. The warm blood splattered all over me. I didn't even have a time to be scared. Pulled the hand away. Ran towards Aster Land. 4 strong men. It's not like I didn't hear the sound of us talking just now. The reason for ignoring it is, first of all, understanding. Second, they felt this Asian man wasn't worth worrying about. Who would have thought he'd be so tough and unyielding? He actually shot and killed his underling. 4 burly men raised their pistols one after another and opened fire on Aster Land. But how could they compare to Aster Land, who had suffered inhuman treatment since childhood, was even more. His marksmanship is both fast and accurate. Leaning against Thule without even dodging. Fired 4 shots in a row. Every shot lands right between the eyes. Wait until there are no more gunshots behind you. Halfway there, my legs were so weak, I could barely stand. Aster Land spat the cigarette he was holding in his mouth onto the ground. Walking over with long strides, he bent down and picked me up. The moment you held me in your arms. The man is a bit excited. The steps are getting bigger and bolder. Stopping in front of the car that had just pulled up at the alley entrance. He then lifted his foot and kicked the car door. Then the younger brother opened the car door for him from inside the car. After Aster Land Andy had settled in, the black car zoomed off in an instant. Little brother. Mark was sneakily looking at me through the rearview mirror. Aster Land frowned slightly. He said in a hostile tone, "Don't want your eyes anymore?" Mark was startled. I also know I have a strong sense of curiosity. Actually, it's not really his fault. I wonder how Thierbos managed to slip up. Still, just a short while, he came back holding a little beauty. How could he not be surprised? Mark didn't dare to look again, shiningly looking at the road ahead. Didn't say another word. My heart is even more unsettled in the back seat. This guy looks like he's not to be messed with. He got what he wanted. Can't you just let yourself go? What if they don't let me leave? Call the police? Can the cops in Country F really do anything about it? I was just chased by 5 big guys. Didn't call the police. Kiana's useful phone was smashed to pieces by the big guy. What should I do? In a bit, the car came to a stop at Villa in the suburbs. Aster Land was the first to open the car door and step out. He turned around and extended his large hand, signaling for me to grab it. I obediently held his hand and got off the car. But the next second, Luke Kinglian picked her up again. He said to Mark in's car, "Tell them. Don't come looking for me these few days." With that, he strode into the villa with his long legs. After a long while, Mark snapped out of it. Their boss is really crossing the line this time. But the boss didn't specify how long a few days actually means. In the villa, Aster lankried me into the bedroom, kicked open the bathroom door, put me down on the ground, looking me up and down from head to toe. smiling and asking, "Do you want to wash it yourself, or should I help you?" Hearing such blunt words, I quickly shook my head. "The voice is a bit tight. I wash myself." Aster Land didn't want to scare me either. He nodded at me. "Go out and close the door." He quickly went to the next room to take a shower. He didn't dare go too far. What if this little cat runs away? It's best if I know my place. Otherwise, he wouldn't mind using some tough measures. Taking a shower in the bathroom. I really know how to read the room. I just watched it, and it's really too plain. Even if I run out of the villa, most likely, they'll still get caught in the end. Not to mention this guy has a gun in his hand. If you piss him off, I'm afraid my life is about to be gone. Today I can't escape it. Why not wait until the man lets his guard down and escapes after he goes out? Maybe he got what he wanted. Then you'll let me go. There was a knock at the door. Aster Land stood outside the door impatiently asking, "Are you done yet?" I quickly grabbed the bathrobe from the bathroom and threw it on, anxiously responding with a hurried, "Okay," in his mouth. "I'm coming out right now." After hearing the reply, Aster Land sat down on the bed. The white bathrobe stripped lazily over the body. His strong pectoral muscles were clearly on display. The stray hairs on his head were also a bit messy. The bathroom door was gently open. Then out came a petite, delicate girl. My innocent little face was flushed red. "Makes you want to take a bite." Aster Land really can't take it anymore. He didn't want to waste his breath anymore. He stood up, walked over to him, and pulled me onto the bed. His tall, strong body pressed down on her as well. His cool, thin lips pressed against my soft pink ones. Both of them were having their first kiss. So it was a bit startling. The next day at noon, I woke up in Aster Land's arms. I was a bit stunned at first. But then, he carefully tried to get out of bed. But in the next second, the man grabbed her. The man who just woke up had a slightly hoarse voice. "Look where I'm going." I turned my head while sitting on the bed, looking at the man lying on the bed with his eyes closed. Testing the waters, I asked, "Have something going on today? Can you go back and handle it?" Hearing this, Aster Land still hadn't opened his eyes. Yet he curled his lips and said, "You're clever, very smart." I'm testing his attitude. Check if there's any chance to leave. Too bad, he had no intention of letting me go. Aster Land figured out one thing before falling asleep. He fell in love at first sight. Not sure if it's the face or me that's the problem. No matter what it is, he wants to marry me. I must marry him in this lifetime. I see the man not speaking. My heart skipped a beat. My palms are sweating with nervousness. He just doesn't want to let me go. At this moment, the man had already opened his eyes and was looking at me. "Ask me. First tell me what your name is." I calmed down a little. "No secrets." Sunny Ruin reacted when she heard my name. Aster Land sat up, holding my little hand and rubbing it. He muttered "Sunny Ruin" several times under his breath, as if wanting to carve this memento the very marrow of their bones. The more he said, the more terrified I became. Just because he looks like it. Not a single thought of letting me off the hook. Aster Land let go of my hand. "Get out of bed and walk away." Seeing the scratch marks on his back, I quickly turned me head to the side. At this time, Aster Land had also put on his black casual outfit. "Turn around and tell me the clothes in the bedside table are newly bought. Just finished having breakfast downstairs. I'll drive you back." After saying that, he opened the door and went downstairs. I breathed a sigh of relief after he left. Pick up the clothes and put them on. The clothes are very conservative. It's a loose and flowy pink dress. I slowly got out of bed. The pain struck again. I forced myself to walk out of the room. As soon as I went downstairs, I saw the man in the open kitchen. I walked to the dining table and sat down. My mind is all over the place. Thinking about going back to school in a bit. Buy a plane ticket and go back home immediately. At this moment, Aster Lan was holding a glass of milk in one hand, holding a fried egg and bread in one hand. He walked over and placed breakfast in front of me. He sat down right across from me. Go ahead and eat, I'm very obedient. Eating breakfast obediently, seeing that he hasn't eaten, planning to ask, but then thought it might be better to keep communication to a minimum. I'm not hungry. Aster Lan looked at me. This breakfast made me feel extremely uncomfortable. No matter who you are, having a man eyeing you like a tiger across the way is unnerving. It would be hard to swallow. But I had no choice but to finish it. Wait till I finish eating. Aster Lan stood up. He was the first to step out the door. He's not waiting for me. Can't you see how terrified they are of him? If you take one more step closer to me, this is probably gonna scare me to death. Aster Lan grew more annoyed the more he thought about it. He had never met someone who disliked him so much since he was a child. Among women, I'm truly the first of my kind. I didn't say a word the whole way. Aster Lan's face looked very unpleasant. He just doesn't suit my taste at all. Don't even feel like saying a word. From yesterday until now. Except for when he asked me. I haven't said a word. Right, it was him who forgot. I took the initiative to say a couple of things. Save me. Another line was to test him. The sports car drove out of the villa district. Aster Lan asked where to go to get things done. How long will it take? I secretly clenched me fingertips. Suppress the complexity. Moved off to Moss Academy. Tomorrow morning it will be finished. Hearing this, Aster Lan gripped the steering wheel tightly. I'll pick you up at PM. My hands are shaking more and more. Pretending to be understanding and considerate. I'll be back right at 7 o'clock. Go ahead and take care of your business if you need to. We'll meet again in the evening. The handsome man laughed. But that smile was full of mockery. He slammed on the brakes, turned his head and stared at me. See you tonight, you sure? Do you know what happens to those who try to fool me? I'm really scared of him. Although he was quite gentle from yesterday until just now. But this still can't stop distance in my heart. Exposed my lies. But I really don't want to be forced anymore. I looked at Aster Lan. The tone is especially sincere. Sure. I'll run to the college as soon as I arrive. Confirmed to buy the earliest flight back home. Make sure to forget all of this since you return to the country. Never coming back to love again. Aster Lan gave me a deep look. Then he started the sports car and drove away. The car stopped right at the entrance of Moss College. Not a single word was said. I looked at the family arsenary outside the car window. I feel a little excited. But he didn't dare show it on his face. I turned to look at the somewhat dazed Aster Lan, softly asking if I can get off the car now. Aster Lan also turned her head to look at this heartless version of me. The voice sounded as if it was squeezed out from between clenched teeth. Are you sure there's nothing you want to say to me? My gaze did not waver. I know what he wants to hear. It's nothing more than making me admit with my own mouth that I just lied to him. Yesterday, I didn't manage to run. Because there's no escape. Today I got the chance, didn't I? If I don't find a chance to run soon, do I still have to look forward to the future? I'll tell you more about it tonight, okay? I looked at him. The face still remained honest. Aster Lan stopped looking at me. Nodded slightly. Got his permission. I'm so close I could almost sprout wings and fly. I opened the car door. Try to stay as calm as possible. Step by step. Break free from the man's clutches. When we were almost at the academy gate, I heard someone calling me name from behind. I still haven't completely gotten over it. I had no choice but to turn around. Looking at the man across the street, Aster Lan leaned against the sports car and looked at me. The sound isn't loud, but enough for him to hear clearly. Sunny Ruin, I'm Aster Lan. After saying that, he immediately grinned at me. He has a beautiful smile. At least at this moment. My heart skipped a beat, waved at him. He turned around and entered the academy. Aster Lan pulled out a cigarette from his pants pocket. Put it in your mouth. But realized I forgot to bring a lighter. He put the cigarette back. Then he took out his phone and dialed a number. Wait for the person on the other end to pick up. Then he coldly ordered, send people to surround Moss Academy. I am an international student. Yesterday happened to my graduation day. Just went out for a meal with classmates to celebrate. I never expected that just going to the bathroom was immediately taken hostage by 5 burly men. Luckily, sneaked away halfway. That's what led to what happened next. In the dormitory, I put my ID, graduation certificate, and passport into my bag. I turned on my spare phone again, booked the earliest flight. There's no time left to pack their remaining clothes and essentials. Might as well not. I hurriedly left the dorm. But in the end, it was right at the door. I bumped into the cleaning guy who was tidying up. 15 minutes later, the janitor slowly pushed the garbage cart out of the college. This cleaner is exactly the one I'm looking for. At this moment outside Moss Academy, surrounded by men in black suits, Asian, European, and American all have. The returning students were filled with anxiety. It's feared that a terrorist organization is causing riots and pushing the garbage cart out of the school gate. Scared out of my mind. I couldn't help but feel relieved that I had just given the cleaner money and changed my clothes. Otherwise, I'd be coming out recklessly. I'm afraid I'll be taken away directly. The mask on my face covers half of it. Without realizing it, the corner of my eye caught the man who was conducting the search. All I'm holding in me hands are my photos. It's a photo of me while I was asleep. The more I think about it, the sadder I feel. Luckily, they just glanced at me. No one came over to ask. I pushed the garbage cart a long way. About half an hour later, I slowly leaned against the wall, breathing heavily with big gasps. Time is running out. I can't even calm my emotions. I quickly dug out the backpack from the garbage truck, rushing to the airport right away. Yet as soon as I slung the backpack over my shoulder, I looked up and saw it right away. A tall and handsome man stood imposingly ahead. At this moment, he was staring at me intently, with a sinister gaze. He clearly has a refined and handsome face, yet it terrifies me the most. Aster Lan strode forward with his long legs, step by step, walking towards me. The sense of oppression followed closely behind. See you tonight, you're quite the liar. His tone was flat. I turned around and ran for my life. What should I do? Why did I have to run into such a domineering man? I've never run this fast before. But how could I possibly outrun it? Aster Lan has top-tier physical fitness. Haven't even run out off the street yet. He grabbed my wrist from behind. I struggled desperately to break free. But no matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't break free. I'm really about to lose it. I don't want to keep pretending with him anymore. Looking up at Aster Lan, crying and shouting, I gave you everything last night. Why won't you just leave me alone? You see my tears. Lu Kinglian's heart was restless and agitated. Not tired of it, but an indescribable discomfort. He lowered his head and stared at me. Seriously, answer what I want from you. I want to marry you. As soon as these words were spoken, I was shocked. Couldn't say a word for the longest time. After a long silence, he muttered, I don't like you. Stop wasting your time. Before I could finish speaking, Aster Lan hugged tightly, pressed my little head against his chest. Hearing the man's rapidly accelerating heartbeat, my heart is also out of rhythm. A magnetic and deep voice came from above. I can wait for you to like me. Please give me a chance. In the end, I was still carried back to the villa by Aster Lan. From then on, he's just like a reckless young lad. Prepare 3 meals for me every day. Wash my clothes with your own hands. No matter how late, he'll always come back. He does nothing at all. Just hold me and sleep. Many times I wake up. You can hear it all the way from the bathroom. Aster lands sound off taking a cold shower. Lucinian didn't restrict my freedom. They just send someone to closely follow me from a distance. Lucinian also often took me out to have fun. I've pretty much been shown around the entire country of F. Whenever I come across something that interests me. No need to say more. Lucinian would buy it for me without hesitation. In these 3 months, he never lost his temper. Even though he knew I was lying about being a man. He knew in his heart that wasn't the case, Aster Lan. I also didn't secretly investigate his first relationship. I want to respect the woman he likes as much as possible. As long as I don't leave him, he can turn a blind eye to it. The turning point in their relationship came half a year after they met. That was the day I made up my mind. Kinglian still hasn't come back. I lay in bed tossing and turning. Can't sleep at all. Over the past 6 months, he had never come back this late before. The more you understand my heart, the more confused I become. Thoughts came flooding in one after another. Is he in trouble? Or is it because you have another woman outside? After all, since the first time between the two of them, he never touched me again. Every single guess is so obvious. The situation was very favorable for my escape. But right now I just can't seem to feel happy at all. I sat up, got out of bed and walked barefoot the floor to ceiling window, looking down at the ground below. Am I falling for him? Otherwise, I really can't find a better reason to explain myself. Distraught. When did I start liking it? Will it? I just have a case of grid germo syndrome. But as soon as this thought arose, the scene of him saving me for the first time flashed through my mind. On the street, Aster Lan held me in his arms, heart racing. The sound and the way he held me while watching TV over the past 6 months, cooking while gazing at the stars. In short, there are countless memories. I thought to myself that he probably wasn't sick. Liking someone is so much uncontrollable. At this very moment, a sports car drove into the courtyard. I want to see Aster Lan. I really want to see him the very next second. I turned around, opened the door, and ran downstairs. The villa's door had just been opened. Just saw Aster Lan's underlings. Mark and Jess were helping to support him. His face was pale, covered in blood-stained sand beads of sweat. The gunshot wound on his chest kept bleeding profusely. At this moment, someone came running in from outside again. The doctor, wearing a white lab coat, on the sofa, quickly administered and 4-dripping anesthesia to Aster Lan. He swiftly removed the bullet from his chest. I held onto the handrail, too scared to get close. I'm scared, but not scared, but afraid. If anything happens to him, what should I do? I just confirmed my feelings. Am I going to lose it? At this moment, the doctor looks a bit anxious. The sound of heavy breathing grew louder. Because Aster Lan's vital seemed getting weaker and weaker. Mark and Jess leaned in closer. Eyes are red. Kept calling him Big Bro non-stop. Big Bro, you gotta hang in there. More and more people are gathering in Building B. A bunch of tough guys rushed in. Everyone's eyes were red with tears, shouting Big Bro loudly. The doctor's forehead was beaded with more and more sweat. His hands were trembling more and more violently. Anyone could see the man in a coma was in critical condition. I'm afraid it's not going to work out. I stumbled over as I ran. Kneeling beside the sofa, she grabbed his large hand. Aster Lan, can you hear me? I like you. I've fallen for you. I want you to live. As long as you're alive, I'll marry you then. Please, you have to survive. 2 minutes later, the doctor noticed that Aster Lan's condition had improved. Too shocked to react, I immediately went back to the surgery. Beside me, it felt like I was trapped in a nightmare. They kept talking about all the little months they shared over the past 6 months. Mark and G. She then turned around and led his brothers to stand outside the villa. Their big brother is finally going to get the girl. 3 days later, I woke up in Aster Land's arms. I looked up at him. I noticed he was also smiling at me. I want to ask if's feeling better. But I never expected the man to speak up first. Are those words really true? Aster Land was greeted with a sweet kiss. I gently kissed his lips, laughing and saying it's true. I like you. The injured man was so happy, he lost his mind. Aster Land simply couldn't believe it. I'm skilled at both fighting and drinking, excelling at everything. To win the love offer gangster boyfriend, by his side for years, playing innocent little white flower. But I could never warm his heart. In the end, I faked me death to escape. Just got off that plane after 2 years. I was dragged to the Barbie my bestie to let loose. Continuing from the previous episode, 3 days later, I woke up in Aster Land's arms, looking up at him. Then I noticed he was also smiling at me. I was just about to ask if he was feeling better. But I never expected the man to speak up first with those words. Is it all true? Aster Land was greeted with a sweet kiss from me. I gently leaned in closer, kissed his lips, laughing and saying it's true. I like you. The injured man was so happy he went dumb. Aster Land simply couldn't believe all of this was real. He thought he would never live to see the day. I liked him. Aster Land ignored the injury on his chest, picked me up, spun around several times under the bed. His hearty laughter. You woke up Mark Howes sleeping downstairs. Mark scratched his head, helplessly grabbing the coat to cover his head. Continued to sleep. From that day on, Aster Land stopped being vegetarian. Another half a year passed. Our relationship is so close we're practically glued together. Aster Land never imagined he could love someone this much. And the love willingly grow stronger. I wish I could carry you in me pocket every time I go out. Don't let me leave his side for even a second. If it weren't for having Tointern every time I go out, he would really do this. On this day, Aster Land had just stepped out. I just got a call back from me high school senior Shen Shin. He's going to hold an art exhibition in Country F. Do you have time to help? Of course, I'll agree. In high school, Ansa fainted from low blood sugar. It was senior Nova Shenhua took me to the hospital. Thinking of this, I quickly got out of bed. My legs hurt so much. It's like they don't even belong to me. After washing up, I went to the wardrobe, find an extremely conservative height dress and change into it. Seeing the hem of the skirt reaching down to the ankles, I helplessly shook my head. Aster Land bought me skirts like this. After getting downstairs and into the car, I rushed to the place where Senior Nova Shen was holding his art exhibition. After arriving at the destination, the driver, also known as Aster Land's underling Zhao Guang, he turned his head and said to me, "Sis-in-law, I'm here waiting for you." I opened the car door, nodded at him in agreement. I'll be back as soon as possible. After getting off the car, I happened to Runinto Nova Shen coming out to see off a guest. His eyes lit up when he saw me. Come over quickly. The tone is very gently and soothing. Aster, you're here. Have you eaten? Let me take you to eat first. It's been 2 or 3 years since I last saw my senior. I'm also feeling a bit happy, but still shook his head. I've already eaten. Senior, take me in to have a look first. What can I do to help? Nova Shen looked a bit dejected after I turned him down. But the smile on his face didn't fade. Whispered, okay. Aster, come in with me. The two of us walked in one after the other. Zhao Guang in the car furrowed his brows tightly. After hesitating for a long time, he took out his phone and dialed a number. On the other side, in an unfamiliar villa, Aster Land's white shirt is slightly long, lazily sitting on the sofa, her slender legs casually crossed. He glanced sideways at Theman kneeling before his legs, coldly asking how you want to die. The man shook his head with a bitter smile. Quickly, kowtow to Aster Lan. I beg you, please spare my wife and child. Do whatever you want with me. Standing to the side, Mark and Jess sneered mockingly. The remaining Gunderlings also sneered. This dumbass really has the nerve to ask our boss, do you want to die in a more miserable way? Aster Lan was also amused by the man. He raised his hand and fired, shooting through his shoulder. Bend down and press Thagan against the man's head. What else do you need? Go ahead and bring it up for me to hear again. Aster Lan thinks he's really quite interesting. This guy threatened his underlings to transport the land plots, after being brutally rejected, then wiped out his little brother's entire family. Now, he still has the nerve to come begging him. You really think he's a good-tempered person? Aster Lan has clear rules for his underlings. One is that human trafficking is not allowed. Whether women or children, none are allowed to touch. Second, low-quality products are not allowed. Can't touch it, can't move it. 3 is a wise man, she must not move. The rest can be discussed. But today, he came looking for trouble. I never intended to let anyone off the hook. At this moment, a woman and a little boy came running down from upstairs. The little boy saw his dad wash hurt and was about to rush over. The man on the ground wanted to stop them. And the very next moment, 2 gunshots rang out in the villa. The woman and the little boy were shot in the head with pinpoint accuracy. They all fell together in a pool of blood. The man looked at this scene in utter devastation, opening his mouth butinable to make a sound. Aster Lan stood up and looked at Mark. Don't let him die too easily. After speaking, he walked out of the villa. As soon as he got on the car, his phone started ringing. He took it out and had a look. Zhao Guang's heart suddenly panicked. My fingers are trembling a bit. Wait until after the call is finished. Aster Lan was so angry his eyes turned red. I glanced at the time. Nova Shen, who was arranging the picture frames next to her, said, Senior, I'm heading back first. I'll fix that painting for you as soon as I get back. Nova Shen. I was thinking of inviting him to dinner later when it gets late. Looks like it's not gonna happen. He picked up the jacket and handed it to me to put on. The weather outside might be a bit chilly. I shook my head. Rejected without hesitation. Used the seniors. I'm not cold, I just keep getting rejected by me. Nova Shen's expression was visibly unnatural. He looked at me, tentatively asking if Junior has a boyfriend. I already have a boyfriend, I answered frankly. Hearing this, Nova Shen couldn't tell whether she was angry or annoyed at the moment. He had a crush on me back in high school. But I didn't dare to confess, afraid that if it fails, we'll not even be able to stay friends. He occasionally reached out to me over these 3 years. I never get an enthusiastic response either. Now that I've finally mustered the courage to chase after you, I have a boyfriend. Watching him freeze in shock, I picked up the drawing paper. Walk quickly out. Today is here. I feel really uncomfortable inside. Nova Shen Sr.'s gaze always lingers on me. The longing in those eyes was so intense, even I could sense it. I don't want to stir up trouble. But I still chose to pretend I didn't see it. Avoid bursting the bubble. Once I think about how nice this will look after setting it up, I can have someone deliver it over. I secretly made up my mind. Let's not meet again from now on. Aster turned his head to watch my receding figure fade into the distance. Unwilling to give up, he quickly followed. Aster, I'll give this to you. Hearing this, I quickened missteps and walked out. After seeing Zhao Guang's car, just started running, but I lost my footing for a moment, just about to fall to the ground. Nova Shen, who had caught up from behind, quickly grabbed my hand. Without realizing it, his fingers were still rubbing against my skin. I steadied myself, quickly pulled her hand away from his, stepped back 2 steps, quickly said, Thank you, Senior. I'm leaving first. The words had barely left his mouth. But suddenly, gunshots rang out from behind. The next second, I saw blood dripping from Nova Shen's hand. His lips turned pale from the pain. Cold sweat trickled down his forehead. Yet he gritted his teeth. Didn't make a single sound. I was just about to step forward and pull him aside to hide. The next moment, he wasped into someone's embrace. The familiar scent rushed over. My anxious heart settled down a bit. But then there were another 5 gunshots. This time, I saw it crystal clear. The one who fired the gun was none other than Aster Lan. I quickly grabbed the pistol he was raising. Aster Lan, stop shooting already. The frenzied man's eye showed not a trace of reason. He looked down at me coldly. Said you to get lost. I'm gonna break his fucking hands. Hearing this, I wasn't about to let go. Suppressing the tremble, grabbing his gun, softly coaxing, let's go home, okay? Let's go home now, okay? Aster Lan stared at me terrified face, obviously suppressing a heart full of murderous intent. He slowly put down the gun, pulled me into his or her arms, taking me to the sports car parked by the roadside. I don't dare to look back at Sonny's condition. Can only hope in my heart he can call Theospidal himself. His hands were full of bullet holes. Blood was gushing out. And he watched our departing figures fade into the distance. His face was filled with anger and jealousy, as if the next moment would swallow him whole. When we walked away, he endured excruciating pain, shouting, Aster, he's not good enough for you. He's a devil. As soon as these words were spoken, I felt Aster Lan's footsteps come to a halt. The moment he turned around, I clearly saw him raise the gun. The gaze was cold and piercing, almost an instinctive reaction. At the moment he pulled the trigger, gave him a push. That shot missed the mark. Didn't hurt Nova Shen. Aster Lan lowered his head, staring coldly at me. Not a single word was said. He grabbed my wrist in an instant, dragged me to the car. He opened the car door. He shoved me in with brute force. Then, with a grim expression, he started the sports car. The cars on the road were speeding. It almost made my heart stay in my throat the whole time. Arrived at the villa, Aster Lan carried me straight up to the second floor. After throwing me onto the bed, fiercely demanding to know why they saved him, I adjusted my sitting posture, looking at the man standing by the bed with a face full of anger. Can't help but fly into a rage. What about you? He's just afraid I might fall. Just gave a little help. Just fuck him up. His hand even wanted to kill him. Aster Lan, don't you think you've gone too far? Aster Lan's scarlet eyeswear fixed intently on me. The tone was cold and cruel. After crossing that line, he deserves to die for daring to touch my woman. Hearing his inhumane reply, I'm so pissed off he could explode. I didn't say anything more. He suddenly pulled out his phone and made a call. Take that man out. Hearing this sentence, I can't take it anymore. Rushed straight to the balcony, pretending to make a jumping gesture. Aster Lan was so scared that his face turned pale. The phone wasn't even hung up. Hurry over and grab my hand. Her voice was so panicked it nearly choked with sobs. Wait, don't go. Aster Lan was both shocked and terrified. Hold my hand tightly. Look down at me. The voice is trembling a bit. Is he really that important? Important enough that you die for him? Holding back tears, I whispered back at him. Doesn't matter though. I can't just stand by and watch innocent people die for me. Stop fighting. I will never see him again from now on. Aster Lan's expression was complicated. Looks like he got the message. As if it went in one ear and out the other. He let go of my hand. He walked out without saying a word. From that day on, between the two of us, it's like there's a cold and sharp barrier between us. I can't see him during the day. Aster Lan came back at night. Not a single word was spoken. He just keeps tormenting him relentlessly. Later, I came down with a high fever. The fever stays stubbornly high at over 39 degrees and just won't come down. Aster Land just realized. He went too far. He just wanted me to back down and admit defeat. At this moment, Aster Land was filled with deep regret. Quickly called for a doctor. By the time the doctor arrived, I'm completely out of it. The heartbeat gradually weakened. The doctor shook his head. Seeing this, Aster Land picked me up and ran downstairs. Just arrived at the hospital. I was immediately rushed into the emergency room. Through the glass, I faintly saw him leaning against the wall, head hanging low. Drops of water fell one by one onto the ground. He hung his head. Don't know what's on their mind. He suddenly raised his hand and slapped himself hard across the face. His strength was so great that blood seeped from the corners of his mouth. My waking consciousness really blurred, yet still feel a tinge of complicated pain. I'm skilled at everything from fighting to drinking. To win the love of her gangster boyfriend. By his side, she played the delicate, innocent little flower for 4 years. But I could never warm his heart. In the end, I faked me death to escape. Just got off that plane 2 years later. I was dragged to a Barbie my bestie to let loose. Continuing from the previous chapter, this part covers chapters 8-11 of the original text. The next day, when I woke up, I opened my eyes. I locked eyes with a pair of bloodshot eyes. Aster Land stayed by the bedside. That gaze is filled with exhaustion, mixed with deep concern. Look, I'm awake. His eyes immediately filled up with tears. It feels like a huge weight has finally been lifted off my shoulders. He reached out his hand. The voice trembled slightly. Ask me where I feel unwell. Or maybe you want to eat something. Are you thirsty? If you're not feeling well, just tell him. He immediately went to find a doctor, looking at his anxious face. Still haven't stopped asking all sorts of questions. I raised my hand and gently held his. With a hint of helplessness, he smiled and said, "You're asking too much. I don't even know which one to hit first." He was left speechless by my remark. The movement stiffened for a moment. It was like touching a raw nerve. He lowered his head and remained silent for a long time. It's my fault, I finally muttered gloomily. Sorry to hear this, sorry. I couldn't hold back. Tears instantly slipped down. Tears soaked my cheeks. He is filled with guilt. But this apology should be directed at me. I am fully aware of the wrongs he has committed. I do love him. But even if it hurts, I could never bring myself to truly hate him. Aster is back. That senior who has no blood relation to us at all. Just because you gave me a hand. But in his rage, he fired 6 shots in a row. In the end, it's his guilt. The ones who need to make amends. It's Nova Shen. Instead of me. Facing his extra melisere, I'm sorry. I stayed silent for a long time. Just lower your head. No comment. The air in the ward seemed to freeze for a moment. None of us spoke another word. Look away from the other person. The silence seemed filled with a suffocating oppression. During the doctor's ward round, he immediately stood up. Quietly walked out of the ward. End of the corridor. He took out a cigarette and lit it. Smoke curled up around him. The whole person exudes an indescribable sense of loneliness. In the distance, Mark walked over from the opposite side, carrying a meal box. At a glance, I saw his lonely figure standing at the end of the corridor. A sour feeling welled up in my heart. Mark slowed his steps as he approached. Didn't say much more. He took out a cigarette and lit it. Just stood by his side quietly smoking with him. He looked down at the endless stream of people flowing below. After blowing a smoke ring, the boss spoke up. Truly loving someone, respect is necessary. He believes in his. We've messed around enough up front. Why not give your sister-in-law some space of her own? After the words were spoken, he quietly placed the lunchbox on the railing. After Mark left, Aster Land was still standing in place, finished the cigarette in my hand. as if completely unmoved by the earlier advice. Of course, he understands that love requires restraint and boundaries. But those simple truths, just when they met me, they could never do it again. His obsession with me is like vines that have taken root. The more you struggle, the tighter it gets, hard to break away. After the cigarette burned out, he stood quietly in the hallway for 15 minutes. Make sure the smell of smoke on you has faded. This brought up the lunchbox that Mark had left behind. Faye men returned to the ward. Noontime. Aster Lan went out to handle me discharge procedures. The ward door was suddenly pushed open. I looked up. It was actually him. His left hand was still wrapped in thick bandages, though the steps were weary. But your complexion looks noticeably better than before. He walked straight to my bedside. A faint smile lingered on his face. Aster, what's up? Are you surprised to see me? His sudden arrival like this. It really got me. He froze for a moment, not even having time to think. How did he know the news about me being hospitalized? I quickly sat up and looked at him. There was a hint of urgency in the tone. Senior, you'd better leave now. My boyfriend is coming back soon. I'm really fine. Don't worry about it. And I'm sorry. It's all my fault that you got hurt. I'm really sorry. When I heard Theward's boyfriend, Leo Shen's gaze trembled slightly. The smile on his face gradually faded. A hint of bitterness surfaced at the corners of his lips. He shook his head. Aster, no need to say sorry. I never blamed you. His gaze suddenly became frank and burning. The emotion in those eyes was completely unconcealed, staring at me intently. He stared at me with a determined gaze, tone word by word. Aster, I really like you. Not even a single chance for me? I met his expectant gaze, sitting on the hospital without saying a word. Nova Shen stood up, turned around and walked toward the door. In a hurry, there was a hint of fleeing and panic, like his last stubbornness and dignity. Forget about me, senior. I couldn't help but speak up. The words had barely left his mouth. His footsteps clearly came to a halt. For a moment, he didn't say anything. Quietly pulls open the door, walked out without looking back. And just at the other end of the hallway, Aster Lan is being pinned down tightly by Mark and Jess. The two of them used all their strength. I'm barely holding on to finish. With bloodshot eyes, like an enraged beast, the entire aura could go out of control and erupt at any moment. Jace desperately tried to suppress him. Out of breath, he cursed at Mark. You bastard! What kind of stupid ideas are these? Mark was so pissed off after being scolded. He glanced back at Asterlin's tightly clenched fist. There's a fire burning inside me too. Last night, he was still pounding his chest and making promises. Can you think of a way to calm me sister-in-law down a bit? The result was that Shen Qinghui was finally arranged to meet his sister-in-law alone. The trouble has escalated. He even specifically asked Aster Lan to come downstairs. Thought it could calm this storm. I didn't expect the words weren't even finished yet. Aster Lan straight up punched him. Step by step spiraling out of control, Mark desperately held him down. The fast-talking persuasion boss. Calm down. Wait a bit longer, he'll be out any minute now. Jace, who was next to him, heard this and quickly nodded in agreement. Yeah, boss. Give him 2 more minutes. If you still don't come out, I'll just go in and carry the person out. Aster Lan's face was as stark as a looming storm cloud, forehead veins bulging. Every breath is filled with oppressive effort. How could he possibly hold back? I should have known Mark was such an idiot. Came up with such a lousy idea. There's no way he would agree. The rage has built up to its breaking point. He suddenly clenched his fists. A fist smashed hard into Mark's face. Mark didn't react at all. Knocked straight to the ground. He fell straight to the ground, filled with anger, but didn't dare to resist. His expression was frighteningly cold. He immediately turned towards Sace, who was still gripping his arm, threw another punch. Luckily, Jess reacted quickly this time. Quickly let go, dodging awkwardly to Th's side and shouting, "Boss, I beg you to calm down." But he completely turned a deaf ear, eyes filled with rage. The only target left is the person in the ward. He rushed towards the corner off the ward with large strides. My mind is filled with all sorts of maddening images. Would Nova Shen try to get handsy with him? Will you say disgusting things in front of him? Will he take the chance to undermine his trust in me? Every thought iced like a sharp blade. Each cut tore at his heart, leaving it bloody and mangled. Before he could reach the ward, just then Nova Shen had already come out from inside. The moment the two of them brushed past each other, no one gave the other a second glance. Not a single word was said. Aster Lan quickly stepped forward. "Push open the door and walk inside." I just got out of bed, going to the bathroom. The door was suddenly flung open. "Look up." His face was frighteningly gloomy, like a fierce wind rushing towards me. I haven't even processed it yet. He bent down. He picked me up in no swift motion, like holding a child. "Hold me tight in your arms." I'm completely baffled, mind racing, but quickly guessed. He must have run into Shen King outside. I cautiously looked around. Didn't hear any gunshots. I finally let out a slight sigh of relief. It seems he was relatively this time. Not hurt. He held me and walked to the window. He pressed me against the cold wall. The next second, he lowered his head and suddenly kissed me on the lips. His movements were rougher than ever. There's a faintly venting emotion. The power was almost too much for me to bear. His hands tried to push him away, but it's completely useless. His kiss was like a raging storm. Even the air in the hospital room. It's been so fiercely competitive that it's become unbearably intense, and he had absolutely no intention of stopping. This kiss lasted for almost 20 minutes. Kissed my lips, started kissing my neck again. I almost thought I might pass out from this kiss. I shook my head helplessly. She struggled softly. "Let go of me first. I really need to go to the bathroom." Aster Lan stopped moving. His gaze darkened as a slightly hoarse voice spoke. "I'll carry you." I frowned, shaking his head subconsciously. "Don't make me go by myself." Feeling a bit nervous, being stared at like that by him. I always feel like I'm about to compromise in the next second. After a moment of silence, he whispered, "All right. I'm here waiting for you." I nodded, turned around and walked out. But for some reason, there was an inexplicable restlessness in my heart. Perhaps it was the domineering and overbearing aura about him. It made me feel suffocated without realizing it. When I walked into the hallway, try my best to calm myself down, trying to let that oppressive feeling out. An apple suddenly rolled to my feet. I instinctively looked down. After bending down, I casually picked up the apple, just stood up straight. A boy who looked about 16 or 17 years old ran over, wearing a tattered black short-sleeved shirt. There are still a few dry blue and purple marks on the face. Looks like he just got his ass kicked. The young man had hishins in his pockets. A bit reserved, his gaze fell on the apple in my hand. Looked uneasy and embarrassed. I immediately handed the apple over. I softly asked him, "Is this what you dropped?" The young man froze for a few seconds. "Slowly reach out your hand," carefully reaching out to take the apple. At this very moment, several nurses and doctors hurriedly passed by, bumped into his shoulder. The force is no joke. He staggered. His hand accidentally brushed head against the back of mine. This scene left me stunned. His expression was clearly flustered as he stared. But after snapping out of it, he quickly took the apple. She lowered her head, turned it around, and hurried away. I didn't think too much about it. Didn't take this little episode to heart. Turned around and walked toward the bathroom. When I came out, I looked up through the glass window. I saw a rainbow hanging in the sky. The rainbow's colorful band rests upon the clouds. Brilliant. It instantly brightened my mood quite a bit. I couldn't help but follow stairs up to the rooftop. Want to find a more open space. Enjoy this beautiful scenery to the fullest. The wind on the rooftop is quite strong. The wind blew so hard it flipped my clothes up. But the heart found peace in the rainbow. The early irritation and tension. As the beautiful scenery before me eyes vanished in an instant. At this very moment, a muffled groan came from the other side of the rooftop. Broke this brief moment of tranquility. I quietly cracked open the door a little. Through the crack, I looked in the direction of the sound. Wherever the eyes can see is Aster Land. He was wearing a white shirt. Roll up your sleeves. The whole person appeared extremely cold and stern. He stepped on his straight suit pants, shiny leather shoes, toe of the shoe. At this moment, it was brutally crushing the back of that young man's hand. The voice said coldly, "You've got quite the nerve. How dare you lay a finger on my woman?" Mark and Jess stood by the side, looking very annoyed. Yet no one dared to make a reckless move. The boy lying on the ground was covered in wounds, more pathetic than what I saw earlier. The bruises on the body grew darker. The whole person seemed to have lost the strength to resist, lying on the ground with it, saying a word. As if resigned to fate, silence fell. Aster Land coldly lifted his foot. Without hesitation, he kicked the boy in the side of the face. That kick of his was way too direct. The boy's head was kicked open, leaving a bloody gash. Blood instantly gushed out. Aster Land didn't even bat an eyelid, clearly still pissed off, planning to take action again. At this moment, Mark and Jace finally made their move, quickly stopped him, repeatedly trying to dissuade. Boss Jess glared at Aster Land. His gaze was urgent, tinged with the trace of unconcealable reluctance. He whispered, "Boss, he's a mute." Aster Land said upon hearing this. But the hostility on his face hadn't faded yet. Jace lowered his voice. "Keep muttering, this kid's name is Bei Chen. It's an underground fighting ring." When I heard this name, my heart skipped a beat. Isn't this one of those fighters who've been through life and death? Aster Land, even if heard these words, still looked ashen-faced, his icy gaze washing to the bone. "The big sister-in-law went back to the ward, but couldn't find you. Probably going to freaking out." Jace trotted forward, gently reminding. This sentence was like a bucket of cold water. Aster Land's reason was almost on the verge of losing control. Gradually regained composure. That originally elegant and handsome face had lost some of its ferocity. Suppress the anger. Hold back your emotions. His gaze shifted away from the boy lying on the ground. He strode forward, walked away from the rooftop with big strides. Jace looked down at the disheveled Bei Chen on the ground. He let out a helpless sigh. Life's tough, but I managed to survive. Mark didn't say a word, just silently followed behind Aster Land. Left the rooftop with him. The entire rooftop. In an instant, only the blood-stained ground remained. Bei Chen's frail and weak figure. I was pressed tightly against that trash can behind the staircase corner, carefully poking my head out to check if they're there. It's already gone far away. Make sure the footstep shave faded away. My legs are a bit numb, but still gritted his teeth and stood up. Still, he mustered up the courage and walked to the rooftop door. I pushed open that cracking iron gate. His gaze fell on Bei Chen, who was lying on the rooftop. His face was deathly pale, not moving a muscle. His hollow gaze stared blankly ahead, as if my soul had been sucked away. My footsteps halted right in front of him, looking down at the white sandals I was wearing. It appeared in his bewildered eyes. I crouched down. She took a bank card out of her skirt pocket and handed it to him. The doctor said sorry to him. "It's my fault that you got dragged into suffering because of me. There's money in this card. No password. Take this to treat your injuries." His face was covered in mud and dried blood. even the original outlinuous almost completely obscured. He raised his uninjured hand. He wiped his eyes with effort. Seems like trying to get a clear look at me. Yet he remained silent all along. This makes me feel even more uneasy inside. But it only strengthened my resolve to give him the card. I know I can't stay for long. After all, if Astor Land finds out I haven't gone back yet, most likely they'll come looking for me. Before the young man could respond, I shoved the card into his hand. Gently holding his hand, she said, "Take him to heal his wounds. Stop suffering like this." He still didn't make a sound, just raised her head to look at me. That complicated look in his eyes left me puzzled for a moment. Let me get ready to leave. Suddenly, I felt a cold hand grab my ankle. It felt like an electric shock that instantly froze me in place. I looked down, mind racing at full speed. He wants revenge, still trying to stop me from leaving. Or is there another meaning? That fleeting seconds seemed to stretch into eternity. His next move completely caught me off guard. He suddenly flashed a smile. The corners of the mouth curled up. The blood-stained face Medeth's smile looked sinister. But that wasn't a mocking or spiteful laugh. And like a child woe has finally found a glimmer of innocence. I stared at his complicated expressions and got confused. Somehow ended up smiling back at him. Bei Chen slowly loosened his grip on my ankle. I don't dare stay any longer. Just turned back to glance at him. He turned around and quickly left the rooftop. Bei Chen propped himself up and slowly sat up, looking down at the shabby bank card in my hand. His gaze shifted from the bank card to the rainbow on the horizon. A faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. The rainbow is so beautiful. Unfortunately, he had auditioned through it long ago. I don't belong in that kind of beautiful world. I'm good at fighting and drinking, excelling in all sorts of mischief. To win the love of her gangster boyfriend. By his side, she played the delicate little white flower for 4 years. But I could never warm his heart. In the end, I faked me death to escape. Just got off that plane after 2 years. I was dragged to the Barbie my bestie to get wild. Continuing from the previous episode, inside the hospital room, I sat on the hospital bed looking at the rainbow outside. Astor Land just came back. Can't see a trace of me. He hurried to the women's restroom door and stood guard. At that moment, a nurse happened to enter the bathroom. He then earnestly asked him to go in and help look for it. The nurse took a quick look around the bathroom. Can't find my figure. In a hurry, he ran out to tell Astor Land. Let him go see somewhere else. Where could he possibly go to find it? Where else can I look? Am I deliberately avoiding him? Or have I already made him so disgusted? Astor Land returned to the ward, sitting on the hospital bed. Immediately stood up and walked over to the windowsill. He pulled out a cigarette and a phone from his pants pocket. After lighting a cigarette, he dialed a number. The call is connected. The man's deep voice carried a hint of surprise. How come Astor suddenly thought of calling Big Bro? Did something happen? Astor Land exhaled a puff of smoke. Big Bro. Is that expert you mentioned last time still in Country F? If you're there, tell him to come see me tomorrow. On the other end, Lan Huayu froze for a moment after hearing that, gently saying, "I'm here. Big Bro will arrange for Simeon to come find you tomorrow." What's wrong? Did something happen? Do you need Big Bro to come over and take a look? At this very moment, the ward door was pushed open. I hurriedly walked in. Breathing is still a bit rapid. Astor Land turned it around and looked at me. His gaze swept over me. The cigarette in his hand was stubbed out. Then he said calmly into the phone, "No need to continue." Hung up the phone. He turned around, pulled a tissue from the bedside, and walked toward me. He bent down and gently wiped the sweat from my forehead. "Why are you in such a hurry? I've been waiting for you all along." I stood quietly and let him wipe the sweat. "I won't run in such a hurry in the future." Astor Land wiped it clean. His hand gently touched my face. His dark eyes gazed deeply at me. Can you promise me? Never run away again from now on? The sudden remark left me so nervous, I didn't know what to do. Her hands involuntarily clad the hem of her skirt. Does he already know something? I wanted to run away. After witnessing Aster Land's cruel actions on the rooftop, I made up my mind to leave him. I can't stand his domineering and violent behavior. He also refused to forgive his cold-blooded tactics. I love him and try to respect him. I never ask about this background. I naively thought, loving someone is enough as long as they treat you well. But reality is not like that. There are certain things he can turn a blind eye to. But some lines must never be crossed. Aster Land mercilessly harmed innocent people because of me. This is unbearable to me. Once or twice, I called still stop him. What should I do if I never find out? On the rooftop, I was too scared to show myself because of the fear in my heart. Not afraid to argue with Aster Land, but afraid of showing up uninvited. It would cause that young man to lose his life. With Aster Land's possessiveness, with extreme paranoia, he can definitely do it. Let me never see another member of opposite sex for the rest of my life. But this is absolutely not what I expected. His life only makes me want to stay away from him even more. Aster Land thought he stayed silent, just staring blankly. His face gradually darkened. What the hell am I thinking? Are you thinking Gabbett another man? Still thinking about how to leave him? His rage was like a raging beast. It almost completely lickensed him. The last shred of reason screamed inside. Tell him to calm down. He suddenly reached out and wrapped his arms around my slender waist. The other hand lifted my chin. The tone carried a hint of assertiveness. Say you love me. Say you need me. I was forced to look up at him. I didn't want to respond. But when I saw him, in those eyes, there was a mix of longing and obsession. I could only helplessly go along with him and say I love you. I need you. After hearing what I said, actually laughed out loud. Aster Land's eerie and terrifying smile. It sends chills down my spine. I stared at him in panic. I used both hands to free his arms off my waist, but no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't break free. He complete-linered my resistance. The other hand pulled a phone from the pocket, dialed a number, and turned on the speaker, tossing the phone occasionally onto the bed. On the other end of the phone, Mark's weary voice came through from the other end of the phone. Boss, why haven't you guys come down yet? At this moment, Aster Land lowered her head, kissing the top of my head over and over again. He coldly ordered everyone on this floor to be cleared out. Get the hell out of here, all of you. No one is allowed to disturb. Hearing such a far-fetched order, Mark was instantly stunned. What, boss? It can't be what I'm thinking, right? Mark decisively up the phone. Jess quickly split up and took action. Jace is responsible for contacting the dean. Let them clear the floor. Meanwhile, Mark dispatched his men to secure the perimeter. Make sure no one breaks in. And at this moment in the hospital room, I still haven't figured out what exactly happened. Aster Land slammed him hard against the wall by the chest, mouth pressed tightly against the icy wall, till the sound of a belt being unbuckled came from behind. I blushed in embarrassment, struggling desperately while pleading anxiously, Aster Land, hurry up and stop. Let's talk about it when we get home, okay? Let go of me. I don't want to be here. I protested loudly. But it still had no effect. The man behind him was already prepared. The domineering response won't do. I don't want to wait anymore. I want it right now. I'm so angry I'm shaking all over. This is simply disrespecting my wishes. He complete-linered my feelings. People like this. How could it possibly be worth entrusting my whole life to? It's all because I was too stupid and naive. That's how we ended up in this situation. It's entirely my fault. Aster Land is not much better either. His woman not only resists him in her heart, Even his own body rejects him. He leaned close to my ear, breathing out scorching breaths. With a threatening tone, he whispered, "Baby, stop resisting. Otherwise, I guarantee, you won't be leaving this hospital room for the next 3 days." I froze on the spot. I don't dare to move an inch anymore. But deep down, I had secretly made up my mind. I must escape this man's control. At night, he personally took care of everything, and I had already passed out from exhaustion. But he looked at my face. His Adam's apple still subconsciously twitched. Then he brought his own shirt and helped me put it on, treading carefully, wrapped me up tightly in the blanket. Then he hugged me and kicked the door open with one foot, went out. On the road, I mumbled, "I love you," half asleep. "I need you." Parking lot, Mark and Jess leaned against the car door, staring at the soccer match on the phone, puffing away on a cigarette while blowing smoke rings. As the sound of footsteps grew closer from afar, Jace warily turned his head to glance behind him. When he saw Aster land, when he walked over holding a vague outline in his arms, quickly threw away cigarette in hand. He lifted his foot and gave Mark a light kick where he lay nearby. "Stop smoking already. The boss is here." Mark threw the cigarette away. "Step on it quick, Lido, put it out. Walk around the front of the car with Jess. Step forward." But they hadn't gotten close yet. Aster Land waved his hand to stop him. "Don't come over, just go back." After saying that, he picked me up and walked straight to his sports car. A hand held it steady. With the other hand, pulled open the car door. He carefully placed me in the passenger seat, staring at my little face peeking out. Unable to resist, I leaned down and gave a kiss. Then he got up and closed the car door. "Walk around the front of the car. Get into the driver's seat. Start the engine. Step on the gas. Walk away without looking back." Mark and Jess behind were staring dumbfounded at the sports car. The distant taillights still left a lingering smell of exhaust in the air. The two of them stared at each other in bewilderment. On the way back to the villa, Aster Land slowed down the car. Mixed emotions. The only love in my life. Shattered by his words. A complete mess. His paranoia is acting up. Even he himself could hardly control it. At this moment, he was completely lost in thought. Does the current baby dislike him even more now? He secretly made up his mind. Wait until tomorrow. He wants to have a serious talk with me. I'm afraid I might leave him. After arriving at the villa, Aster Land hugged me. He took me to the second-floor bedroom to take a shower. After washing, he held my soft body in his arms, lying in bed, completely zatified, and falling asleep. Around 4 in the morning, a sharp phone ring suddenly sounded, breaking the silence of the night. I instinctively covered my ears. He also lightly kicked them in, holding me with his foot. Aster Land immediately sat up. A hand picked up the phone from the bedside table to answer the call. The other hand covered the end I was using to cover my ear. On the other end came Mark's urgent voice. "Boss, the headquarters got taken out by the Mafia." Aster Land's hand, gripping the phone, suddenly tightened. He lowered his voice, calmly instructed to arrange the manpower. Half an hour later, returned to the shore country. He hung up the phone. He turned his head and gazed deeply at me with my eyes closed. Beep, beep, grumbling. Then he carefully got up from the bed, walked to the wardrobe, took out a set of camouflage clothes, and changed into them. He opened the safe again and took out several guns. Check one by one. Everything is in order. Then walked to the bedside, leaning over me with arms on both sides. He lowered his head and quietly gazed at my sleeping face. He lowered his head and kissed my slightly swollen lips. Then he turned and left without another word. Downstairs, Zhao Guangzheng was sound asleep in the car seat, but was startled awake by the sound of someone knocking on the car window. He groggily opened his eyes, quickly rolled down the car window. Aster Land stood right in front of me. Take good care of him. All of his demands must be met. Aster Land's tone left no room for doubt. Then he turned and go Tinto the sports car nearby. Walk straight away. Aster Land just left. I got up from the bed. The moment the phone rang, I was already wide awake, just kept pretending to be asleep. I don't dare to face him. I carefully got out of bed. Barefoot, she ran to the dressing table. Get down on your knees. Lift the carpet. He pulled out the passport and documents I had hidden earlier from below. The sky wasn't fully bright yet. I might be able to take advantage of chaos to successfully leave this place. If Aster Land finds out about my disappearance, send more people to stand guard. Then it'll all be too late. I found a black tracksuit. Hurry up and change. Back to the bedside again. Picked up the paper and pen. Left a letter. I'm skilled at fighting and drinking, excelling in all sorts of vices. To win the love of her gangster boyfriend. By his side, she played the innocent, delicate flower for years. But I could never warm his heart. In the end, I faked me death to escape. Just got off that plane after 2 years. I was dragged to the Barbie my bestie to let loose. Continuing from the last episode, after Aster Land left, I took out a black tracksuit and changed into it. He picked up a pen from the bedside again. Leave a letter. Let's break up. I can't stand your senseless killing and sick possessiveness. Don't look for me anymore. I put down the pen and pushed open the door in the dark. Carefully made me way downstairs. Gently moved to the kitchen. Opened the window. Jumped down in one leap. My legs were so weak I almost fell to the ground. I gritted my teeth and steadied myself, looking at the ridiculous fence in the backyard. There's no way I could climb over there by myself. The gaze turned to the dog hole nearby. I didn't hesitate and went right in. When I first arrived here, Aster Land raised a fierce hunting dog. Every time it seemed, it barks like crazy. Once he broke free from Theachins and lunged at me. Aster Land just happened to driving back. Pull out a gun and shoot him dead. Look at me trembling with fear. He reached out and held me in his arms. Keep apologizing and saying Thee won't raise dogs anymore. Didn't expect that. Today, this dog hole turned into a life-saving escape route for me. Climb out of the villa. I brushed the dirt off my body. Looking up, I saw 2 cars parked not far away. 7 or 8 people dressed in blackwear playing poker in front of the car. My heart sank. I thought only Zhao Guang was guarding the villa alone. I didn't expect his arrangements to be so tight and flawless. But I have no way out. And it seems like the heathens are helping me too. At this moment, the black-clad leader's phone suddenly rang. They threw down playing cards. He turned around and got into the car. I seized this opportunity. Moving carefully, crouching low, swiftly swept past behind them. The sound of the rain covered up my footsteps. While running wildly, my tears streamed down. I don't know if it's because I'm relieved to have finally escaped alive, still in my heart. The last trace of reluctance towards Aster Land is at play. Ran to the highway entrance. The sky is just beginning to lighten. Not a single car in sight. But this is my only way out. At this very moment, the distant car lights pierced through the morning mist. A business van drove towards me. I suddenly stood right in the middle of the road. Stop this car. I know this adventure's either a win. Either the car stops smoothly, or, coming down is a family of 3. I told them I was going to the airport. Listen to me, I'm going to the airport. They didn't hesitate to let me get in the car. At this moment, I know I've won. When arriving at the airport, I didn't hesitate to buy a ticket abroad. The earliest available flight to the country. I just want to leave right away. Cold sweat had long soaked through my clothes. But I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Goodbye, Aster Land. At this moment, Aster Land sat on Theplane flying to Brightland. Yet his brows remainedly furrowed. My chest kept throbbing with pain. He looked down out the window, feeling inexplicably empty inside. As if something is about to be lost. Mark and Jess, next Totham, exchanged a glance, just about to ask what happened. Aster Lan immediately pulled out her phone. Quick, dial the number. Mark instinctively hovered the helicopter in midair. It seems like Evan's breath was held. The phone isn't being answered. His brows were tightly furrowed. I called 2 more times. Still no answer. Aster Lan forcefully suppressed the unease in his heart. I made up an excuse for myself. Maybe I was sleeping too soundly. Wait until noon to call then. And then I thought about how he wasn't wearing any clothes. He didn't let Zhao Guang go up. Tell me to put the phone back in my pocket. Continue the flight to country N. At this moment, I cut off all information. Settled down in a small town in country F. 6 months later in an intensive care unit in country M. Aster Lan opened his eyes. The eyes were momentarily lighted by a blinding white light. The sound of sobbing and sniffling instantly flooded my ears. Aster Lan turned her head. The room was packed with people. Among the familiar figures, Mark and Jess had bloodshot eyes. He actually cried the hardest. Boss Mark was shouting himself hoarse, kneeling on one knee by the bed. Hold my hand. Tears streaming down. You're finally awake. If you don't wake up soon, you're gonna drive us all crazy with worry. Aster Lan slowly closed his eyes. Fragments of memories flashed through my mind. Half a year ago, the headquarters was besieged by the Mafia. He took his brothers to handle it. In the end, during the battle between the two sides, he felt an inexplicable pain. Then came a dull thud. By the time I realized what was happening, his chest had already been pierced by a bullet. As I fell, all I could hear were screams of shock around me. When I woke up again, only this ward remains. Aster Lan looked around. I couldn't find that familiar figure. He gave them a cold glance, voice hoarse and deep. Did he not tell him about my injury? The room instantly fell into dead silence. A group of grown men looked at each other in bewilderment. Not a single person dared to speak up. Mark and Jesse also stopped crying. Lowering my head to avoid his gaze, Aster Lan realized something, forcing himself to sit up. The tone is aggressive. What's wrong with Sunny Ruin? Did something happen? Jace, you said. Jace sighed, walked to the drawer and took out a piece of paper from it. Handed it over. Aster Lan's trembling hands took it. Just took one look. The world seemed to collapse. Half an hour later, he continued to stare expressionlessly the words on the paper. He wants to break up and leave me. Sunny Ruin doesn't want me anymore. He ran away, really ran away. Aster Lan stared at words on the letter. The chest feels as if it's being torn apart, suppressing danger in my heart. Happy Tao, everyone out now. Mark and Jess exchanged glances. Worry was written all over his or her face. But in the end, Hedda didn't say anything, pushed the door open, and left. Aster Lan sat on the hospital bed, eyes fixed intently in the letter. Very Sunny Ruin. Run to your heart's content. Run as far as you can. Aster Lan closed his eyes. The voice was as cold as cracked ice. I let you go. You don't want me. I don't want you either. I'll never want you again. 1 month later, a lavishly decorated inescapable in a foreign city. Mark wants to celebrate his 23rd birthday. Taking advantage of our own Veneto, have some fun and liven things up. The atmosphere in the privateer was unusually quiet. More than 10 people were all as silent as cicadas in winter. Aster Lan sat in a corner of the sofa, casually threw on a black casual outfit, leaning there with eyes closed, resting his mind. Holding a wine glass in one hand, spinning a lighter in one hand. An aura of keep away radiates from their entire being. Mark gave Jeez a look. The two couldn't help but mutter their thoughts. This boss has such an amazing aura, like a god. If I were gay, I must have fallen in love. Noticing a silence, Aster Lan opened his eyes and glanced around. Look at them all. Play however you want. Don't mind me. The words were out of his mouth. Everyone let out a deep sigh of relief. They are definitely not good people. It's all about wild fun. The boss hasn't given the word. Who dares to mess with Mark? Show hospitality as a good host. I called 20 hot girls into the private room. Aster Land closed his eyes again. Not a single word. Let the hustle and bustle spread around me. Glass in hand. But the heart still feels hollow. Before long, amidst the growing laughter and clamor, a crisp sob broke the rhythm. He instinctively toward his ear to listen, hearing a tearful girl's voice. Please just leave me alone. Opening his eyes, Aster Land was met with a pair of tear-filled eyes. The girl sitting on Lucas's lap, tear-streaked with stubborn defiance. Under the lights, Hel looked small and helpless. Her innocent appearance and timid demeanor were quite striking. Obviously, it caught the attention of those present. Even the noise was drowned out. Other men are just watching for fun. It was Lucas who let go first. There was still a hint of hopelessness on his face. The girl jumped back a few steps in surprise, hands crossed in front of the chest. I don't want to do this, she said uneasily. The manager forced me to come. Please, just leave me alone. Aster Land didn't say a word, fingers spinning the lighter. His gaze swept over. Yet the depths of his eyes were unfathomable. The private room was dead silent. The atmosphere was as tense as a string about to snap. No one dares to speak. I'm compelled to freaking out inside. The most panicked one is Mark. The nightclub was originally his turf. Now, there's actual first stuff happening. This is practically wishing him an early death. Everyone looked toward the corner of the sofa. Aster Land leaned back there with his eyes closed. The fingers are still spinning the lighter. No one dared to make a sound. But his anger had dispersed throughout the entire room. Finally, he spoke coldly. The voice was so deep it sounded like it crawled out from the ground. Mark, explain to me what hell is going on here. Mark's face instantly turned pale, stiffly stood up, forced a faint smile, trying to hide their panic. Boss, I'm going out right now to get to the bottom of this. After saying that, he immediately turned to leave. But before he could act, the girl who was screaming her eyes out, suddenly, he dropped to his knees in front of Aster Land, clutching his legs. He threw himself to the ground, trying to grab hold of his pant leg. Didn't even bat an eyelid. He kicked him to the ground with one swift move. The movements were swift and indifferent. Amy got kicked pretty hard. He shuddered and scrambled to sit up. Obviously, he didn't dare to get any closer. But his mouth still pleaded pitifully. Don't go tell the manager. Please, I beg you, he'll beat me to death. I really don't want to come. I really don't want to do it. This private room is completely silent. The people under Aster Land. Who isn't a cunning fox? No one spoke. Some people even looked at him with mocking glances. The chill in his eyes grew even more intense. Pursing her lips, she slowly sat up straight, looking down at him condescendingly. How do you think you can catch me? Amy froze for a moment, then at a 45-degree angle. Lift up. That face perfectly blended innocence and ambiguity. Biting her lip, she whispered softly, Don't get the wrong idea. I'm just thinking. Please help me. When it comes to this, the topic shifts. He looked helpless, trembling with grievance. As long as you don't tell the manager. Do whatever you want. I already agreed. The words had barely left his mouth. Jess couldn't hold back his laughter anymore, secretly cursing in my heart, what a fucking idiot. Which rival sent you here? You really think Urbos can't do without you? But when his gaze landed on Aster Land's face, Mark suddenly froze. A chilling cold sweat broke out on his back. Fuck, seems like got it wrong. The boss definitely doesn't lack women. But what's Messinja's a sister-in-law? Aster Land's eyes flashed with a trace of disgust. Waved a hand. The voice was ice cold. Get rid of someone. Amy refused to give up. From the moment he stepped into the private room, they set fire sights on Aster Land. I don't know who he is, but that doesn't hinder his ambition. This man, he wants a tall and straight nose bridge, sharp and deep facial features, and that extraordinary figure. Not to mention that casual outfit, the barely concealed arrogance of the wealthy. He gritted his teeth. Get back up. Pick up the wine glass nearby. He strode straight toward him. Don't mess around. Mark is quick and sharp. Immediately grab at Emmy's shoulders. Hold him down tight. But he struggled in the end. The wine in the cup spilled out. Just happened to splash on Aster Land. A layer of frost instantly enveloped his body. The private room instantly fell into complete silence. Everyone held their breath, waiting quietly for its storm to arrive. Aster Land slowly stood up. The voice was low and icy. You still haven't handled it? The situation spiraled out of control faster than Aster Land had anticipated. His modest and refined subordinate Sudani grabbed a wine glass, smashing hard into Amy's head. The heavy sound of shattering glass suddenly rang out. Blood immediately gushed out. Blood stained his center face red. He screamed in agony and collapsed to the ground. Aster Land suddenly stood up. Hand in the pocket. He took out that letter he always carried with him. But I noticed that pages were already soaked. His body froze instantly. A surge of collision suddenly welled up. The surrounding air seemed to freeze solid. My fingers are trembling uncontrollably, slowly unfolding the letter. The paper is completely soaked, thin as a cicada's wing. He didn't dare to exert any more force. What if it gets torn? Jace next to hypnotist something was off. He immediately dashed into the bathroom and grabbed the hairdryer. He turned it to the lowest setting, handed to Aster Land, moving carefully, as if handing over a fragile piece of artwork. Aster Land held the hairdryer. Lowering his head, he blew on the letter. The entire privateeroom was eerily quiet. More than a dozen groundmen held their breath. The atmosphere was so cold it was suffocating. But no one dared to say an extra word. After all, I see him staring at it in a daze every day. Everyone knows Thesis what he left behind. He was his only solace. Half an hour later, the letter paper is finally dry. He carefully opened it, only to find that IV already become a complete mess. His momentaripius was shattered. He stared at the blurry notes. Then, he immediately pulled out a pistol. He raised his hand and aimed at Amy, who was clutching her wound and staggering to her feet. Boss Mark called out in a low voice. But he didn't step forward again. Let go of Amy. Stepped to one side. Almost without any hesitation, Aster pulled the trigger. Gunshots rang out repeatedly. It's so loud my eardrums are buzzing. Nearly 10 minutes later, the gunfire in the privateeroom had just ceased. When walking out, he looked utterly dejected, as if he had lost his soul, covering the chest with both hands, as if protecting something incredibly precious. Step by step, he moved back to his own car. Mark scratched his head. Bored, he lit a cigarette. He let out a long sigh. Damn it. Have you found out where me sister-in-law is, or not? The brothers in the private room lowered their heads and smoked in silence. No one answered him. If this guy shows up again, I'll be damned. Mark took a deep, hard drag. The boss is tormenting himself like this every single day. Can't eat a bite, can't sleep well. I have to get drunk every night. The worst part is, he tackles every task with a reckless, no-holds-barred attitude. Didn't even need a gun. Hand-to-hand combat. If this goes on any longer, if you don't drop dead suddenly, you'll still get hacked to pieces. Think about it. He blew out a smoke ring. To the manager who just rushed into the private room, he said, feed him to the dogs. Back at the villa, Aster Land spread the edited letter on the desk. A pair of eyes glaring with rage. Increasingly gloomy. Pain made him grab his head and bury his face, whispering the name Sunny Ruin through choked sobs. You must write me a new letter. Must be a few months later. Aster Land still managed to find me. When you heard my news, he was so angry that has mashed up the study room. It's not that Hackle didn't find me, but in these past few years, I never gave him a chance. Not socializing and not using real information to develop. Fingers watching from afar. If it weren't to make up for Jiangnan's suffering, I mailed him a painting worth over 100 million. Aster Lan will probably never catch me in her lifetime. But it was all because of this painting. He not only confirmed me whereabouts, they also dug up everything about me from childhood till now. After learning that I was going back home for a blind date, he could barely contain his anger. He barely managed to suppress the urge to fly abroad and drag me back. Booked the earliest flight right away. Stuck at home waiting for me to walk right into their trap. In the hotel, the burnt-out cigarette butt scorched Aster Land's fingertip. He shuddered violently. Stub out the cigarette butt in the ashtray. Turn your gaze home, fast asleep in bed. He got up and walked over, staring at my face. But the heart still feels empty. Last night, I heard that my friend Andy also went to the same bar. I specifically set up this gathering with the bros. It's just to block me. Yesterday, I had a gathering with 9 brothers at the Splendid Bar. Got the news that he and his friends were coming to the bar too. Aster Land couldn't wait to come out and find him. But in the end, the girl he constantly thinks about day and night, watching the male models dance, still so much. Aster Land couldn't believe that I was Theon sitting at the first floor bar table, till the moment I turned me head and looked at him. Aster Land once. It's hard to keep fooling yourself. He was about to explode with anger. What made him even angrier was, I saw him and immediately turned around to run away. Aster Land knelt on the bed, watching me as I slept soundly. The more I look at it, the angrier I get. How can he sleep so soundly? The next morning, I opened my eyes. The intense pain spread through his entire body. At this moment, the phone rang. I followed the sound and saw the bag on the ground. Enduring the pain, I struggled to get out from under the blanket, reached out and took the bag. Take out the phone. The other end of the phone call came from Zhao Aster. How have you been these past couple of days? Feels good or not? Comfortable or not? Hearing Lily Chen's teasing remark, my face turned dark with anger. He turned his head and glanced at the man sleeping beside him. Someone quietly sent people to pick me up. I'm at such and such hotel. Speed it up a bit. Lily Qian clearly looked a bit confused. We were just talking about it mysteriously during dinner yesterday. Ex-boyfriends matter. But now, my tone doesn't sound like that anymore. So at this moment, I didn't dare to crack any jokes. Alright, I'm on my way to pick you up now. After hanging up the phone, I picked up the clothes from the floor and put them on. Just as I was fastening the button, a big hand suddenly slapped down. It was undone from behind me in an instant. I was dragged back onto the bed again. Aster Land put his hands on my head, leaned down and smiled at me. Why aren't you wearing his question? Haven't you been feeling great these past couple of days? I turned my head away. He said coldly, let me go back first. Let's talk about it another day. The next moment, Asterland got up from me. He got off the bed and plopped down on the sofa without a care. Gave me a sidelong glance. You can leave if you want. First come with me to get marriage certificate. I'll let you go. Hearing this, I was so scared that I sat straight up in bed. I refused without hesitation. No way, I won't marry you. Seeing my resistance, Aster Land's heart was shattered with pain. Lowering his gaze to look at the carpet beneath his feet. Sonny Ruin, I'm no tasking for your opinion. I didn't want to cry in the first place. But the tears simply would obey me. Put the clothes back on properly. I walked up to Aster Land's legs, kneeling on Onik knee on the carpet. The voice is very soft, but it's also very clear. Aster Land, it's all in the past now. It's all truly in the past. You let yourself go. Let me go. All right, Aster Lan, it me. A smirk curled at the corner of the mouth. His fingers tightened around my chin. You went over there. I didn't go over there. Sunny Ruin, did you ever truly love me? This question makes me a bit nervous. I had no choice but to shang at subject and keep talking. Aster Lan, you're just unwilling to accept it. Believe me, you'll get over it soon. I really don't deserve you doing this for me. Seeing me getting more and more off track, Aster Lan's last shred of sanity completely snapped. The smile on his face gradually widened, forced out from the mouth, unable to let go with a willing heart. Sunny Ruin, it this. Can't you see I'm crazy about you? As he spoke, Aster Lan stood up from the sofa. He got up and carried me to the sofa. A 6'3" man knelt straight down right beside my legs. Trembling hands gently caressed my little face. Marry me, okay? Stay by my side for the rest of your life, okay? I really can't live without you. I sat on the sofa without saying a word. Aster Lan grabbed me little hand. Place it on his chest. Sunny Ruin loves him. Feeling that intense heartbeat. My hands feel like they've been burned. I want to pull my hand back, but was firmly held down by Aster Lan. At this moment, the phone on the sofa suddenly rang. I want to grab it and answer the phone, but Aster Lan beat me to it. He picked up the phone and answered it. Lightly, he said, go home. I took her home. Before the other side's Lily Keon could say anything, and then hung up the phone. He wanted to casually toss his phone onto the bed. Then it seemed like he remembered something again. Fingers swiped across the screen. I reached out to grab it. Aster Lan actually grabbed both of his wrists. His gaze lingered in the chat history. I couldn't snap out of it for the longest time. 1 minute later, Aster Lan threw the phone to the ground. He reached out and grabbed me by the throat. And the grip only tightened. Eyes bloodshot, he's who Pete was. What is your relationship with him? Are you going to be with him? At this moment, I was suffocating. Her small face was flushed with suppressed emotion. Aster Lan quickly let go. Pass me the phone, he said fiercely. Tell him. You have a boyfriend now. I'm afraid he might do something terrifying. Slowly reached out and took it from his hand. The phone call connected to Pete's number. Aster Lan reached out and snatched it away. He turned on the speaker and knelt by my legs, eyes fixed tightly on me. Honey, are you coming back? The man's delighted voice came through the phone. Hearing this, Aster Lan's handsome, refined face. At this moment, complete awakened by the killing intent. The veins on his forehead were bulging out. Extremely terrifying. I quickly spoke up to stop it. Peter, I don't plan to go back abroad anytime soon. On the other end of the phone was Pete, clearly taken aback by the sudden decision. He didn't say a word for a long time. At this moment, my heart is filled with mixed emotions. Before I could even calm down, Aster Lan's big hand had already pinched my little face. Soundlessly, his thin lips squeezed out 3 words. Tell him not to reprovoke Aster Lan again. Suppressing danger in his heart, slowly spoke. Peter, have a boyfriend now. Let's not contact each other anymore. A panicked voice came through the phone. If you don't contact me, I'll go to Country Z to see you right now. Let's talk when we meet. Alright. Hearing this, my hands started shaking uncontrollably. A cold sweat broke out all over my body. Want to say something more, but then I saw Aster Lan laugh. The smile on that face was downright chilling. Come on over, I'll wait for you. He spoke calmly. The words were directed at Pete, yet those sharp eyes remained fixed on me. Hearing Aster Lan's voice, Peter didn't show any surprise. Mr. Lam? Hearing this voice, Mr. Lam? Aster Lan la Devon more wildly. I froze. I never mentioned anything about Aster Lan to Pete. How did he know? The situation's development leaves no room for me to think deeply. I must stop Pete from coming to Country Z. Peter, don't come looking for me. Did you hear that? He's a lunatic. Don't come any closer. I struggled to get up, trying to snatch the phone back from Astor Land. But the next moment, Astor Land stood up. He slammed the phone hard against the wall. With a bang, the phone is shattered to pieces. Astor Land stopped looking at me. After putting on the pants, picked up the cigarette box from the coffee table. He took out a cigarette and put it in his mouth. My hands were shaking so badly I couldn't light it for the longest time. I walked up to him, stand on tiptoe. He reached out and snatched the lighter from his hand. I turned on the lighter, want to light Astorland's cigarette. But he's too tall. This move, it's really too difficult. Astor Land looked down at me. He brought the cigarette in his mouth, close to my hand. After lighting it, he walked over to the windowsill, shirtless with his back turned to me. You just don't want them to die that much. Even if it means going out off to your way to please me for his sake. I stared at the bullet wounds covering his back. Stop killing for my sake. Innocent people. Sonny Ruin, you're really naive. He's innocent, if I'm not mistaken. You probably haven't mentioned me to that Pete. Astor Land's McKingletter came through. I steadied myself. Never mentioned it before. But I don't care what kind-off relationship you have. As long as it's not because of me that you're going after him. Astor Land finished the cigarette in his hand. Turn around and look. I can. But you have to go get the marriage certificate with me first. No way, getting married is out of the question. Astor Land, stop overthinking it. I will never force myself for anyone. Astor Land took out his phone from his pants pocket, meaningfully saying, okay, then I won't force you. As he spoke, he was about to dial a number. I quickly ran up to him, grabbed the hand hesitating to make the call. Wait, let me think about it again, okay? Sonny Ruin, I'll only give you 10 seconds to think about it. Astor Land looked down at me. Countdown begins. 1987. Oh's my eyes. Numbly nodded. I promise you. Hearing that, I agreed to marry him. Astor Land was so happy that his whole body was trembling. He lowered his head, kissing the top off my head non-stop, completely disregarding me resistance, hugged and kiss-fed for 10 minutes. Let go of me. On the way to the Civil Affairs Bureau, Astor Land floored the Lamborghini's accelerator, afraid of going too late and not being able to get in line. An hour later, a newlywed couple walked out of the Civil Affairs office, caught everyone's attention. The man was so happy he was practically going crazy. Astor Land smiled and pulled the marriage certificate out of my hand, gently asking the wife, I'll take you to eat first. After we finish eating, let's go buy the ring, okay? Astor Land picked me up, gently tossing it, catch it steadily again. Having so much fun. I'm not in as good a mood as he is. But I couldn't be bothered to speak up and stop it. If my words had any weight. Otherwise, we wouldn't have come this far. This whole day. Astor Land's smile never left his face. Wait until tonight when you drive me home. He wasn't happy at all. Holding my hand, refusing to let me get out of the car. Do you really have to go back? Honey, we just got our marriage certificate today. You should keep me company. He's driving me so crazy me temples are throbbing. It's been almost an hour already. Astor Land kept pestering with his endless nagging. Even the best temper will be driven mad. Hurry up and let me out of the car. Seeing me all puffed up with anger. The adoration in Astor Land's eyes was about to overflow. Even when she's angry, my wife still looks so beautiful. He's so shameless. This has completely stumped me. I struggled to pry off the large hand gripping my wrist. Astor Land couldn't bear to tease me. Or was it that I got stranger in my rage? He actually broke free from his grip. He opened the car door and ran away. The speed was so fast, It felt like a vicious dog was chasing after me. Aster Lan in the car watched my receding figure, burst into laughter. He took out the marriage certificate, fingers lightly brushed against it. I sat in the car for a long time again. He only started the car and left. Butler Villa. Butler Lee saw meet the main gate. Tears of joy streamed down his face in that moment. "Miss, you're finally back." I walked up and gave her a hug. I can't help but feel a bit excited. "Grandpa Lee, don't cry. Shouldn't you be happy that I'm back?" Butler Lee hurriedly wiped away his tears. "Happy to see you, miss. The old man is very happy." Butler Lee raised his hand and smacked his forehead. "Right, miss. Miss Keon and Miss Wang are waiting for you in the living room. They say the young lady your call couldn't get through. I came here specifically to wait for your return." I nodded slightly. "Got it, Grandpa Lee. Go ahead with your work." In the living room, Wang Miley was dressed in professional attire, leaning on the sofa, with eyes closed as if asleep. And Lily Keon is wearing art spaghetti strap dress. The little feet dangled in thin strapped sandals, swaying back and forth, arguing loudly with the person on the other end of the phone. "The enemy jungler has come to gank me several times already. Get the fuck over here and help me." The dumbass was almost deafened by the shouting when he walked in. Helplessly, he raised his hand and rubbed his ear. He walked over and slowly sat down in the sofa opposite the two of them. Lily Keon saw me as soon as she looked up. Not even playing games anymore. She pulled up her high heels and sat down beside me. Extremely curious. "The phone isn't getting through. Is Aster playing too aggressively? You're the one Noton's wearing the phone." Opposite, Wang Miley also penned her eyes at some point. "Turn your gaze toward me. Don't want to deal with these two nosy troublemakers. Get up and walk to the liquor cabinet. Open a bottle of red wine." He tilted his head back and gulped it down. At the very moment I looked up, Wang Miley and Lily Keon clearly noticed the marks on my neck and the back of my hand. Lily Keon swallowed hard, scared out of my wits, whispering to Wang Miley, "Is Aster Lan really this ruthless? He's simply not human." Wang Miley remained silent, just saw me open another bottle of red wine. Worried, she bit her red lips lightly. He stood up and quickly walked over to me. "Take the wine from my hand." Asking Aster. "It was Aster Lan who forced you.